here we had very fortunate that Katy Tate was able to find some time to chat with us. And for those of you who are not sure who Katy Tate was, but she is actually a very experienced, very well-known dancer who was a Dancer of the Year in 1998 for the Tremaine Studio. And then she also has plenty of experience not only in stage, but also commercial and films. So we are going to be asking Katy for her advice and her words of wisdom today, especially for a lot of people who are interested in becoming dancers. This will be a wonderful time and a wonderful way for us to get some insight from Katy. Now, Katy also is currently the dance master at the Beatles, right? Love
Yes.
by Cirque du Soleil. She's also had experience in such as Life is Beautiful, the Grammys, The View, Dancing with the Stars, America's Got Talent, and more. My goodness, it's quite a bit of resume. She also has performed, choreographed for Honda, Adidas, Harley Davidson, and Universal, and Walt Disney World, of course. And so, Katy, with all of these experience, when did you get started, and why? What inspired you to go into the dance world, which is not an easy field to become really um, successful and become well known?
Well, both my parents are in performance. My dad is a
Mm-hmm.
musician, and my mother she was a model, and now she's a costume designer. So we come from a very artsy family. So, of course, they're very supportive of moving forward with any of those ventures. But the dance studio that I grew up dancing at was right next to the grocery store that we went to when I was a young girl. So when I was 3 years old, we went there and I looked across the street and I was like, oh, I want to go there. So I started taking classes, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I was about 9 or 10 that I started to get a little more serious about it, and I started competing. I
Was
started
that
doing,
in Longwood, Florida, or?
yes,
Oh,
in
okay.
Longwood, Florida, Showtime Dance Studios in Longwood, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started competing and doing conventions, and Joe Tremaine's convention I started around 10, I believe, and so I've been working with Joe since I was a baby.
Oh, my.
And yeah, so he has really molded my life for sure. But my parents have always been very supportive of whatever I decided to do. And so, again, I was competing, and then around 14, I did Star Search. Around 15, I started doing more professional work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I missed my homecoming because I was doing a gig in London, and I wouldn't have changed that for the world because I knew that this is what I wanted. And then once I graduated high school, I had a scholarship to USF for an independent study program, a Bachelor of Independent Study program, because I had also received a scholarship at Joe Tremaine Studio in Los Angeles to for a year that I would take 14 classes a week and work desk shifts
Oh,
with
my.
the opportunity at the end of it to perform in a scholarship show where we could potentially be signed by an agency. And that was a very difficult year. I was doing uh, not only my schooling online, but those 14 classes a week and traveling with Tremaine on the weekends and assisting, and then working a desk job during the day just to be able to supplement that financially because my family didn't really have the means, but they wanted to support me in any way I could, and they could. So thankfully, at the end of that, I got signed with KSA at the time, the agency, and I started working pretty immediately, which was surprising to me because it's a difficult world out there. Everybody says that it takes about a year in LA to get moving because you have to make those relationships and networking. But for whatever reason, I started working pretty consistently, and then it dropped off pretty fast. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is quite sporadic. And then I got an offer to come back to Florida on a full-time contract with benefits, and I was like, all right, sign me up. So I came back, and I was working at Epcot. And then after that, I went up to New Orleans and did some theater work in a Broadway or a production of Chicago up there. And then I came back down for another couple contracts at Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom at Tarzan Rocks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then after that is when I moved to Las Vegas. And I really didn't know the scene too well out there. I had a couple friends that were there, but I started in a show called Fashionistas, quite small, And then after that, I went on to Bette Midler's show, The Showgirl Must Go On at Caesar's Palace. And after that is when I moved into the position I'm in currently. While I was at Bette, I was doing a lot of choreography, a lot of direction. I was a resident choreographer for a production company in town. And so that skill was just as much a passion for me as it was to be on stage. So I knew that that's the direction I wanted to move because I knew my body wouldn't last forever. And so thankfully, as soon as I finished with Bette, the position at Cirque became available. And after numerous interviews, it's quite an extensive process with Cirque because it's a pretty prestigious company and there's a lot of really talented people working there. And so I was very thankful to get that position. And now I've been with the show for 6 years, the Beatles LOVE, and every day is different. I really love it, and I love that it challenges parts of my brain that I didn't get sometimes in performance. And so yeah, it's pretty great. I do a lot of PR events with them. Like you had mentioned, we do the GRAMYS and America's Got Talent and The View and Dancing with the Stars and presenting the show in different ways. And so that's always doing new choreographies and new stagings and blockings and working with new artists, and it's really fun. So.
Wow, all these venues, it must require a great deal of versatility on your part.
Yeah, I mean, well, as you have to be a sponge in this industry, and as you go along, you just learn from everybody that you're surrounded by because there's so much talent along the path, and I've definitely benefited from the people that I have worked alongside, a lot of really, really talented people, and I think it would be really unfortunate if you didn't take from the people surrounding you, and I mean, there's so many lessons there, and so that has really helped me to have the skill set that I do now.
Would you recommend people who want to go into dancing to acquire a wide range of skills, or not just concentrating in ballet or ballet or jazz or a variety of other freestyle, but try to have a taste of all of them? Or
yeah, I think it depends on which direction you're looking to head. If you're looking to do company work, then you definitely need to have a lot of modern and ballet base. If you're looking to move into a ballet company, of course, ballet needs to be your main direction. But if you're looking to do something more commercial, something along the line of what I have moved into, then every single style you need to be versed in, because you go to an audition and you don't know at all what you're going to be faced with. You could be doing jazz at one, hip-hop at another, tap at another, point at another, and so you just have to be completely prepared at any time. So take as much class as you can from as many different choreographers as possible, because you're also training your brain to learn all those different styles, because within a matter of 15 minutes you'll come to an audition and have to learn something and be able to perform it as if you've known it your whole life to be able to get that job. So you have to train your brain. I say there's no such thing as an unintelligent dancer. There is so much information that you have to feed through, and then if you're in a show and you're swinging positions, there's a lot that you have to retain. So
and coordinate and be quick about it. Oh, we have seen a lot of these dancers. Whew, it's not easy.
No, it is not.
Well, but you are very fortunate to be endowed with parents who are very creative.
Yes.
So, what do you give advice to people who may not have, let's say, parents who are entrepreneurial or creative, and what would you tell them to do or suggest to them?
For myself, it was I don't want to say double-edged sword, but my parents knew the realities of the business. So they weren't the parents that when I came off stage, and maybe I didn't do the greatest, they weren't going to be like, oh, you did great, that was so good, honey. There was none of that. There was, okay, what did you think of that? And I knew right away that it wasn't impressive, and I maybe needed to step up my game. But I appreciate that now. It was sometimes difficult in the moment, because when you're a kid, you just want to have, oh, good job, baby. But now I'm very thankful for that. But if you are in a position where maybe you don't come from a creative family, hopefully they still want you to pursue what it is you love in your life. And there's certainly the cases where they may push you more down the academia road. Yet, if you have a passion for something, I always feel that you have to pursue it. And otherwise there's going to be a regret in your life that you maybe didn't go down the path that was predestined for you. So I think just you have to follow your gut, follow your heart with that, as cliche as that sounds. If it's really what you feel that you want and you're willing to put forth the sacrifice that is needed for it, because there is a lot of sacrifice with moving into a profession like this. I mean, in high school, every weekend I was at a dance competition, or I was training every evening, and so it wasn't the normal high school life. But now I love that because it trained me with a certain discipline that I've been able to carry over into the rest of my life, and I wouldn't trade it.
Are there a lot of workshops, dance workshops in Central Florida area where young people may be able to get a taste of a variety of what it might be like to have to respond to those different commercial type of dance activities?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a ton of conventions that travel through here. A lot of the nationals are held here in Orlando because it's a tourist town. But yes, there's always, and this is an entertainment city as well, with all of the theme parks that are here, and there are a lot of production companies here as well because a lot of industrials come here, conventions, etc. So there is a lot of opportunity for that, and you should take advantage of whatever it is that comes through if this is something that you want for your life, because the more food, the better.
Great nutrition, huh? What would you like? I mean, you have all these experience, film, stage, commercial, non-commercial, and even teaching. What do you foresee for yourself in the future?
Well, teaching will always be a part of what I do, I hope, because there is such a cyclical process with that you get back from that hungry energy of someone who just wants to learn and who wants to grow, and then seeing it happen in the space, it feeds you back and reminds you why you're there. So I hope that that's part of what I do always. I'm at a place now where I've always been pretty calculated in what my direction is and very focused, and I'm still very focused, but I'm a little more open to whatever the universe has in store for me, because I don't know, there's just a certain calm that I have in my life at the moment, and I'm happy with where I am professionally, yet I'm ready for whatever the next step is, whatever that may be. I'm working on a lot of really interesting projects at the moment, and we will see how they evolve, but I'm also ready for the personal end of my life to maybe move me, and we will see what happens with that.
Right.
I've always moved with career because you have a little bit more say in what the outcome is. However you work is how the outcome will be. Of course, there's variables, but you can make things happen. But sometimes in your personal life, you can't necessarily make those things happen. So I'm just open to see where life takes me with that.
Well, with that attitude, I'm sure the universe will have wonderful things in store for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. And well, once it's all set, I'll be sending you the links, okay, all the pertinent links. And I'm really glad that you are able to do it the second time with us.
Yeah, no problem.
But, oh boy, this is what happens.
Yeah.
What life is, and you never know what life is in store. But I really appreciate your versatility.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.